Hey, Rick, I'll pull you up after the intro. I'm going to play an intro, and then while the intro will allow people to come in, and then also I'm going to share through the network. Then I'll pull you up right after the intro.
Got a little soul speak tonight. You know, one of the purposes of Soulogy is to bring out into the open all the things we are sharing. In this apocalypse, everything's more intense, even if we don't know what's happening to us all the time. We sure can feel it. But there's a lot of things that we could share. You know, things that we're afraid to share or even embarrassed to discuss. Yet this is the universal paradox. It's how the universe teaches. Soul sense found behind fears. Our highest leaps of light just past the frail walls of a harmless darkness. Possibilities, probabilities, realities. More frequencies and vibrations if we're brave enough to use them. And they all lead to the same place. It's called the Soul Highway. Pyramids, pineal gland, ET lineage, memories of abductions, angel visits, ascended masters. And who are these powers behind the governments that have begun to fall? Doesn't really matter. What's important is me and you. Perhaps the best thing we could share are the personal challenges, the emotional eruptions, mental and physical shifts come with and to a seeking mind in the golden age we live in. You see, our victories are far more than we know. When we cross the heart to a higher ground, by yielding to the possible impossibilities. And what we find in this shared space contained within ourselves, linked somehow by the same healing power. It's called the gnosis of soul. We have given the world our differences, and the story has never changed. It's time to shine. Ascension is about honoring our sacred space, and when we do, all merges into one. And no longer do we have to point to what's different. No longer do we have to label each other with lies to make ourselves look good, to make ourselves look better in the egoic mind. It's time to shine, beginning with our innermost circles of life. From the innermost circle of what is life, the I Am Soul. So let your soul shine. Live your truth, not what the world tells you is the truth. The soul leads and the ego can only follow.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Looks like we had a little bit of a technical difficulty. Hang on. All right, let's see. Okay, let's see. There he is. All right. Well, there he is. Got a little delay. Little delay. I think Rick's up in the mountains somewhere. Got 69 people in the house. Rick, I don't see you. Hang on. He's coming. Okay, you got it. It's a slow signal, slow stream. All right, here we go. Let me unmute you. Hang on. You're muted, but just give it a, there we go. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
All right, let's just put our energy together and get a good signal going. Somebody wants to know if it's snowing over there yet.
Hey, hey, not yet, but as your intro said, everything is possible. It could tonight.
Yeah, right. Canadian jokes, they said. We got 80 people in the house. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Thank you for continued love and support and contributions to keep us going by the seat of our pants every day. And yeah, these shows resonate, please share. We would appreciate it. So we can stay above the algorithms at Facebook. They want to know where you're at, Rick. Can you hear me?
Okay. Right now, Todd, we're, Sarah, we have a full connection here. Can you hear me right?
You're coming in and you're coming out. Yeah, I think your signal's not strong enough. If you can hear me.
Okay. Can you hear me?
In and out. I don't know if you can move to a different place. I can just keep it going till. Yeah. Well, Rick's up in the mountains. He's in a remote area. I don't know if we're going to get a signal. We had a conversation a couple of days ago. His signal was mostly good, but it wasn't perfect. Can't hear you, Rick. No. Shaz, you're funny. Yeah, everybody send waves, see if we can get this connection going. We have the ability to do this. Maybe if you try going out and coming back in, we can do that. And if we can't pull this off today, maybe later today. Go ahead. I can see you moving. What to do? Yeah, we're losing them. Well, what do you think we should do? Let's give it about another 60 seconds. Damon. Everybody's got a sense of humor today, and that's good. No. I'll tell you what, we're going to go out and maybe come back on here in a little bit. Can't hear you. Quiet Sylvia Bourne wants to interview. I know you're serious. Well, we could do that. Sprinter. Okay, I can hear you. No. Yeah, that's signal.
What's occurring, Todd? If you can hear me, can you put me on audio, perhaps? Let's see it.
Put you on what?
Let me try some audio.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, audio only.
There, I'm just on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that'll work.
yeah.
Yeah, here we go. Here we
Okay.
go.
Yeah, we're in real time.
Yeah, this is going to work. This is going to work. All right.
Okay. Yeah.
So what's going on? Let's take advantage of this connection. Let's take advantage of it. Certainly, there's been a lot of energy stirred up since we announced the show. But we've got
interesting.
yeah, everything's interesting. Everything's delivering a message to each one of us individually, you know? And it's
well, yeah.
So what do you want to talk about today? I saw a very good post you put up earlier. I don't remember what it said, but I was reading it this morning as I was walking around. And then you wanted to talk about and we're going to be open to everybody, everybody, as in, we're not judging anything. We're talking energy here, but you want to talk about darkness and some things that go along with that, right?
Well, yeah, we can touch on that as targeted individuals, but if you don't mind, I would like to go into what we are doing, my ascension team, what you, Todd, and Morgan are doing, and what I'm seeing others are beginning this as well. Are transversing across the globe, if you will, and the significance of that, at this most important time as well. What I wish to say, what we are experiencing and confirming, and others can attest to this, that, the further we progress, we're progressing across Canada. We began in British Columbia, only a month or two ago. And with every step that we take across Canada, we're currently in Alberta right now, east of Thunder Bay. And we are progressing towards the Toronto area. And with every step that we take along this route, Todd, it's amazing events occur, but not only on the smaller levels with, many synchronicities and seeing the hearts in rocks, trees, and seeing all the symbolic animals of creation and all of that. There is much happening on the higher levels, which is so important as well. What we are actually seeing is our effects when we leave towns behind and we camp, let's say, on the east side of the towns, because we're going eastward. We are seeing pink glows of, over these little towns. We did some ley line nodule work where we call in lightning, if you will, to seal the deal, and it occurs. And what I'm saying is all of this is so important, and it's making incredible change. And I am just so grateful to see so many stepping up to the plate, because the unity and physics everyone up to the higher levels as an individual, but also as a collaborative change, that the timelines will go into fluxes where you start seeing lots of anomalies. And before us, because of what we're doing, this ascension team and all of you, you'll see that there is a divine timing with it, that you're to proceed at a certain speed, because what occurs where you're such an invincible force of light going up against any negativity in certain areas, you begin to compress that. And as you do, it becomes just so very blatant what is there that needs to be, let's say, purged and let the light come in these areas. So these are the effects on creation and reality, and it is so evident to see this. But again, I wish to reiterate, it is so beautiful to see the actual visual confirmations as well as the energetic confirmations of it.
Yeah.
And just and what I wish to express is my deepest gratitude for all supporting these missions, like you have. You know, I saw something about Sandra Walters perhaps may embark upon the same sort of journey. What I wish to emphasize is that, yes, these are so important because we carry also the higher energetic codes with many gifts in there. And just by coming into close proximity of each one's energetic field, which typically surrounds you by about 6 feet at this time, dependent upon what divine work you're doing, there is such huge energetic transfers that go on there that ones are some are even oblivious to what has transpired until after you depart, because it activates more within them, more of their divine abilities. And this is a thing of total unison with this, is why we are doing it. You can say that we are teachers or peers to a sort, but what we are doing is anyone else that is supposed to be a teacher, we're bringing them up with us because we do this all together. I'll stop there.
Well, no, I think you bring up a couple of good points, and the first one I want to bring up is from the human perspective. Okay, for these people that you're describing, including yourself, first and foremost, what does that look like from the individual? The individual's eyes, right? From the individual's heart and mind and experience, and basically, you wake up, as we have many times, all of us, and you get this guidance, and this guidance has been ascending itself, and your trust in this guidance has been ascending in itself, and got to a point now where there's, by human standards or human aspect alone, very radical moves, which is dispossessing yourself of everything. I'm not saying anyone to do that. I'm just saying that I see a common denominator here. I see some things, some characteristics, some symptoms, or whatever you want to call it, that are common. These people are giving up everything they have. They're walking into the unknown in a very present moment type of experience, and it's not a cliche, where you're literally living moment to moment, day to day, but allowing that unseen energy, that non-physical, that etherical, to do what it can do. It's the magic. And I think that, from a human perspective, that's important, because I'm seeing a lot of people that are making comments over the last 10 days or so since we left Hawaii, and they're saying, hey, I'm about to do this. This is becoming a contagion.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's becoming a contagion, and I think it's important that we honor the human aspect and say, what does that feel like? It's a little bit scary, but I know I can probably speak for you without asking you and your travel partners, but each day and each mile that you travel and each place that you go, the miracles, the signs, the synchronicities, the chance meetings, the flow is there. It's not like it used to be. There's no room for doubt, because with every step that you take, you get more and more positive reinforcement. And I think the other thing I'd want to bring up too about what you said, and we'll go back to you, is I noticed when we left Hawaii and we landed in central Los Angeles, we had a couple of days to decompress, and I'm only speaking this because I think there's an energy that's the same, that's paralleling with you and with others that are doing this, like Vera and Augusti and many other people. But then we went to Laguna Beach, and immediately there was, you noticed it in all ways, all sensitivities. There was a huge difference in density of the area. And I think the impact that we have when we take these actions, whether they be moving across an ocean, moving out of a house into another house, job to job, relationship to relationship, whatever it may be, our impact is actually bigger than just the the people that are in our physical presence, although that's very important and it's very expanding for everybody, but it's also having an influence on the collective consciousness, which is far beyond just the human hybrid souls. It's Mother Earth, it's certain regions, it's certain areas, portals, vortexes, parts of the grid, where I think these people, as part of what they're doing, like you said, they all have different missions, but I think part of what's in common is that the grid is lighting us up and we're lighting up the grid as well everywhere we go. Back to you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, okay, great. Yeah, Todd. Is there any wind? I'm outdoors here.
There was a little
viewers
bit.
hear me? Can you hear me well?
Yes, we can. Just, yeah. We can
Okay.
hear you. Right where you're at.
Okay,
like that.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Yeah, again, you know what you brought up there, Todd. This is actually what we're doing. We're co-creators and we're creating the new reality. So once you reach that status of empowerment, then you began to have a great influence upon the outside realities that you change it. And that's also what we're doing. And you know, you brought up an important point, that what many need to realize with us teachers as well, that we're here in human form and we're transitioning out of the human form and taking our higher divine roles. Now, part of that process for, you know, anyone that believes in the Christ and was what was written, if you really look at the truth, you will see that the Christ, while here, was not totally perfect upon a certain expectation from peoples. And, you know, having said that, that holds true with each individual. We have, you know, endured a process and we incur a process where you must eliminate the darkness and the negativity and the fear. And during the course of that, for every individual, what they have within them that needs to be purged so they can rise to the next level, they will be subjugated or confronted with it, whatever term you wish to use. And because, you know, Todd, again, this is about a higher perfection, a perfection beyond human standards. And if you apply a human logic or a standard to it, the moment you do that, you begin to restrict yourself from the higher truths. And this is why it's so important. Each one must let go of all judgment and keep open-minded and realize that we are in an evolution of sorts as well, transitioning out of humanity. And the moment that anyone places a judgment upon something to any great degree, they judge themselves as how it occurs, and they begin to disempower themselves and hold themselves in a certain place in time until they realize what it is and that they do their inner work to overcome it so they can rise. We all had this process, I included, and we had to, you know, each one is unique with how they deal with it, but anything that is less than unity, anything that is segregation or separation, whatever you will, it needs to come down. These walls cannot be here. We are all one to join in unity.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's it gets a little bit tricky too, you know, and I got to say, and Rick and I, we've done a number of shows together, probably 7, 8 shows over the years. We've had some interesting situations. We don't agree. We don't resonate on everything together. We don't judge each other, but we're here to do a job, and I'm not trying to make us unique to anyone else. This is my point. It's actually the opposite. We're just like everybody else. Some people have certain roles and some people have other roles. But what I'm trying to say is that the thing that I admire about you and people like you that I don't always resonate with, because I don't really follow a lot of people, is that you keep going. You keep going. And just like you said about Jesus Christ, you know, I mean, we've read about all the good stuff, but what about what his life was really like? What about what Magdalene's life was really like? How many times were they misunderstood? How many times did people assume things about him and make insinuations? about them and gossip about them. You know, the bottom line is, and we've been saying this for weeks, and other people have too. You know, the more, if you're focused on others, to obtain your love or to project your blame, the bottom line is it doesn't really matter because you're not focused on yourself. And I don't know about anybody else out there, but I know one thing: I need virtually every moment that I have to stay in balance because it's a full-time job. I don't have time to be, you know, looking into other people's business and being judgmental and this and that. I've got to the point now where I'm pretty cut and dry with it. Right or wrong, I'm going to do everything I can to control my energy. Then projection is not protection. Projection is not putting up boundaries and protecting myself. The best thing I can do is keep my mouth shut, do my job, and keep going, you know?
Yes, yes, indeed. If you can hear me right now, I have circling over me. I'm outdoors, a huge hawk, and anyone can look at the symbolism of that. But no, totally, Todd. Yeah, you know, with this, we're all unique because we have a certain divine role to take. And as you said, some things I do does not resonate with you, and for me, but it will. I will confess that everything that ones do, more or less, if it's not surely into the darkness, that it resonates with I pass no judgment. But with this, it leads me into saying that there is an actual force of resistance here, a darkness that is consciousness. And with that, I will say its intent is to hold one's back. And you know, this takes us into what I call where some were targeted, and they were targeted beyond universal law.
Yeah.
And what I just put out, that is why, one of the reasons why we are here, because where the darkness broke universal law to such a degree, it set humanity and the human experience, you know, almost a century or more behind where it should have been at this time. However, it's also on the most important soul energetic level that was violated by the darkness. Yeah. So by them doing that, it allowed us to come in with the higher divine laws, which we're implementing at this time. And it's all imploding. The darkness has no choice. They must comply and obey with the light. And it's happening. I mean, just look at the concrete outside 4D world stuff. Like, you know, I don't wish to get into politics, but that is a part of the ascension. And just to keep it simple, with the sealed indictments and Trump in the US, you know, it's unprecedented what is occurring. And, you know, it's all part of this ascension to clean up the darkness here. And we're doing it.
I think that's a great point, and that's the post that I couldn't remember also. But the first thing I want to say is you're right. There is what we'll call by our own human dictionary darkness. There's a consciousness. There's a power. There's an energy. Okay, but energy has to be fed. And I think where we came to terms, we talked a couple of days ago. So what I'm going to talk about, we actually were talking about the same thing, and we put it into a congruent dialogue, which was basically it's all about us, and that darkness that we're contending with is either going to be empowered or disempowered by our own sovereignty or lack thereof. Okay, so we are driving this thing. Nobody's going to have power over us, but we do have to be conscious and aware what has happened. And I think we are conscious and aware of what's happened now. We all know what the Matrix is about. We all know what programming is. Anything that's not pure oneness, anything that's not oneness, period, end of story, is separation. I don't care how biased and prejudiced and how much you favor and like or love something. You know, the bottom line is no matter how much conviction you have in that you are a victim or someone else is a victim, you cannot ascend being a victim, okay? And if we're all here to serve the collective, the best thing we can do is not feed that dark consciousness, because we actually feed it by our thoughts, words, and actions. And I don't mean by pointing out this person's dark and that person's dark and this person did this and that person did that. That just tells me it doesn't tell me that that person's out of whack. It tells me that I need to stay on my game, because I don't want to be projecting like that, focusing on anything other than my own eternal self. You know, to thine own self be true. This is how this gig works. You know, we can complicate it, but it really is simple. It is the I am soul. It is we are the creators. It is we have the choice in each and every moment to feed that dark consciousness, take responsibility for you know, our efforts in diminishing it, or blaming it on someone else and leaving it to someone else and expecting someone else to save us. By the same token, we can, when we don't feed that darkness, when we don't feed the gossip mongering, we don't feed the drama and the extreme emotions, we're feeding the light, we're being the light, we're illuminating. And when we do that, we illuminate others. And that's what we're all here to do. We're all here to illuminate.
Yes, totally, Todd. Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I totally agree and concur with that. And yes, you know, there's so many individuals at different levels with their process.
No, we lost them.
And you know what they must go through.
Yeah.
And having said that, you know,
We lost them.
I respect every perspective, because really from where we come from, there is us to power one reasons.
I think your galactic voice is coming in. So I think what he said is he respects everybody's journey, as we all should.
I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yes. Okay.
Back now. Am I on real time again?
Yeah, you're on real time. Your galactic voice is coming in. I don't know what. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead. You're good now.
Yeah. You know what? One of the fundamentals again is if we look at the basics of, you know, your enlightenment and your empowerment again is, yes, you got to go in and do that inner work. And having said that, Todd, I have done that to the appreciable degree that I am, let's say, comfortable with, and also divinely instructed to do. For what I am, I go to all levels to assist. And a part of that is, you know, I put out in the post that to remind ones, you know, if this does not resonate, that's what you're giving your discernment feature for. It does not mean that it's not a truth for you in the future. It's just that you're not to follow that if it doesn't resonate at that time, because it's not for you. It's for another. And where I assist so many levels, you know, sometimes I'll see that judgmental factor come in there. But I kind of got off of the train of thought because our connection was broken where you were going into. Oh, with the targeting, if you don't mind. Yeah, you know, you have an inner work to do to get rid of that darkness, to put it at bay, or you know, whatever you need to do during your process. But again, there is an outside force, and you know, there are groups that recognize that outside force as a divine ground crew as well, that are instrumental in breaking that down. And having said that, I am also part of that ground crew at breaking down the old system. And, you know, with that, Todd, before I was awakened to what I am and who I am, before that, I was a target. And during that awakening, you know, there were several attempts on my life by the governments and the Jesuits, if you will, and they're very real. And having said that, you know, and then I'm given all the divine information that no, they cannot information and the connections to the galactics that assure and ascertain this. So what I wish to, without getting into any deep detail, what I wish to share with your viewers that yes, some of you were targets of the dark. And this is also why universal law was broken and that we are here. So anyone that is a target or was a target, no, you band together, you are part of us, and stand up and know that you cannot be killed. For instance, if you could be killed, you would not be here listening to this. So, you know, that's one of your inclinations, that you are divine and you are here for an important reason to assist with this ascension on whatever level it may be. If you're a whistleblower, you come out, you join with your comrades, and you know, the quicker disclosure and exposure happens. I'll stop there.
No, that's good. And I think, you know, anyone that's tuning in, and I don't just mean tuning into this broadcast, but tuning into what we might call, for lack of a better word, the light worker communities. And I'm not talking about the social junior high gossip, you know, stuff. I'm talking about the stuff that's put out when people channel their art, their expressions, their poetry, their songs, their lives, whatever it is. This is the authenticity. This is the real soul energy that drives the expansion of what we call life. Has the darkness been a force and had a power over us? Yes, it did, but game over now. We have the power, and what you wrote about in that post today that jumped out at me, and I don't remember all the words verbatim, but that was that, you know, they had the power over us. We have the power because universal law is supporting us now. We signed over our rights to universal law, so to speak, by consenting, being duped into this matrix, into this realms, paradigm, whatever you want to call it. But we have, all of us have disavowed ourselves of these contracts and these laws and these oaths, not just for this lifetime, but for all the incarnations prior. And we are liberating ourselves. We're liberating this earth. This is a universal realignment, a universal correction. We are healing Pleiadians. We are healing reptilians. We're healing what we might call angels and devils. Everything across the universe is centered here in this dense realm, being transformed into the highest light this universe has ever seen. And it's being done from the thoughts, words, and actions we take, not as we project them on other people, but as we turn them inside ourselves and ask, how can I grow? What can I learn from this? What is it that I'm missing in myself? Where am I not taking responsibility? And another way to put that is to understand and declare that I have a full impact on what happens in the collective consciousness. And I'm going to commit to driving that. That's my responsibility. That's my passion. That's my new oath, is I'm going to expand pure love. We have enough force collectively now, even if it's a small minority, that we're impervious to the dark penetrating us if we stick together, and if we stick to the old adage, to thine own self be true. Did we lose you? I think we lost him again. Somebody said he's in gluten-free Ontario. Gene Henderson says, as soon as we accept the dark, it ceases to exist in our life. Yeah, because there is none, you know. Somebody else said something earlier about doing a great job. I just saw it fly by. It's Morgan. We're all doing a friggin' great job. We're getting done exactly what we all planned for ourselves. There are many paths to the top of the mountain, etc. We have done an incredible job. We've all showed up, every single one of us. And Kawara, I love you, sister, and thank you for your continued love, support, and contributions, but there is no dark. There is no part of the universe that we can divorce ourselves from at all, period. And in this realm, this is maybe the toughest realm that has ever been put together to come to that realization. And if you watch Franco Di Nicola's last interview with me, we talk about that. We talk about his inside knowledge of how this was all set up and how challenging it was. But with that challenge comes a huge opportunity. Dark, nothing has any power over us, nothing at all. I think we lost Rick. Yeah. Actually, and Rebecca Newell says we are winning. I do respect that, Kawara.
Okay, Todd, now.
Yes, I can hear you. And that's an important point. I just made that comment about our sister, and she said, our truths are different. Please respect that.
Can you hear me now, Todd?
I hear your galactic voice. I think that's your Arcturian voice coming in now. Can you hear me? Vera Ingeborg says, the battle between darkness and light is inside of us. It disappears the moment we integrate it. Robin says, but Todd Medina, what about the people who don't know the difference? Well, you know what? Don't worry about the people. Worry about you. Do you know the difference? I don't. I'm still learning the difference. It goes deeper and deeper and deeper. And every day and every moment, I learn where I was imbalanced yesterday when I thought I wasn't. You know, I wrote a post last night and basically said, you know, the same thing I'm saying now. Our biggest opportunities come from those things that we consider separate from ourselves, be it Hitler, Clinton, Bush, Trump, whatever, an old lover that you think hurt you. None of this stuff is separate from us. And those things that we find the most difficulty in aligning with are actually our greatest opportunities. Yeah. Tammy says, acknowledge the darkness in and out so that your light of love will and can transmute it. God, Father, source of all that is light. In him is no darkness, my truth. I always go back to those famous words in Genesis, let there be light. And why would you say, let there be light if there was light? The light had to come from somewhere. And I think that's what Rick's post this morning was talking about. It was either his or somebody else was talking about. I think it may have been Bueyo, I can't say his name right, he's Brazilian, talking about how the real light, the most illuminated light comes from the transformed darkness. I like Shanine's comment here. Rick, tell me when you're back. Shanine says, when we think we have it worked out, the soul changes the game. Nothing is right or wrong, and staying humble means more shutting up from Shanine in the future. Yeah, that's what I was telling Morgan last night. I think at this point, you know, I've learned just to shut up, you know, regardless of what side of the fence or what side of the ethical fence that you're on, the best thing to do is just shut up. You know, the more you talk, the more you're in the shadow. Let's respect all these comments. This is Bernie Kawara. She says, my first attack from a demon was 10 years old. I'm 45 now. It no longer affects me. I think we've all gone through that. You know, we can all talk about the demonic attacks or demonic interactions we've had, and they all look different, but we've all had them. So you know, there's no doubt about that. But something's changed in the last couple of years at a minimum. Something's changed. The collective awareness, the collective sovereignty, the collective unconditional love, the collective pure intention has expanded. And because there's so many of us, or whatever the reason is, the so-called dark, is less and less effective. And that's what Rick's post was about this morning, I think, was talking about how even the dark, the quote unquote dark, have to follow universal law. And that's what's happening now. The universal law is expanding in this realm, and it's being done so not for us, but by us. And that's why it's so important not to create the separation by saying that's dark and therefore I'm not. Rick, are you back? No. And Lee Collier Richard says,
Distance.
uh-oh. I think that's your, all kidding aside. Did y'all hear that digital code? All right, so what do we got here? 45 minutes into this program.
Hello, Buddy Ho.
I think that's your Andromedan aspect now.
Hello, anyone home?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes. Go ahead,
Okay,
just
great.
start talking before you go away.
Yeah, well, I asked for a little bit of assistance there, so let's see what occurs. Okay, great. So we're back on, and it's a little bit windy here, Todd, where we're at. But I was getting bits and pieces of what you were saying, and I always have utmost respect and gratitude for where you come from with this, and the bits and pieces I was hearing, I totally concur with it. And can you hear me good now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Yeah, so we're at such a level now, Todd, in this ascension, of humanity being liberated from the matrix, that we're at the point of them taking back their consent to empower themselves within. And at this time, there's a sufficient quotient of us light that have done that we are at the point of expanding outward, because as we know, the old is imploding very rapidly, and it has been assured that the new, while the old was imploding, that the new was being integrated here for a much smoother transition. So having said that, the sovereignty and the sovereign governance by the people will be one of the temporary measures that accommodates that going forward, as the governments in the old way implodes much quicker. There are so many vehicles that the light has worked on behind the scenes that are secure. They are in place, for example, with a QFS, a quantum financial system, to alleviate many. All of these things are in place. It is just the divine timing of enacting them and enabling them so that more can utilize them in divine timing. What I can give is that this ascension and the divine plan is going amazingly well, with great leaps forward. And as each one of us, again, we all have a divine role to do here. But even in these ascension tours, if you will, and even just individuals going around and gathering, it's making a very important difference. It's speeding up things and much more.
Yeah. And let me just throw a couple of comments in. I think part of, well, let me just say this, and you disagree with me, give your opinion, whatever you want to do, because I'm here to learn and expand. I'm not saying I'm right, but this is where I'm at. This is kind of what I struggle with. And that one of the things is all of this stuff about QAnon, Trump, these changes. I see changes happening. I see the changes evidently happening in the regular news and the alt news and so on and so on. But part of me just cringes when I see this, because it's another savior programming. to me. It's no different than the other savior programmings we've had throughout our incarnations and throughout this incarnation, our history. And what I'm trying to say, I'm not saying that it's not true. I'm not saying that spaceships won't land tomorrow. I'm not saying there won't be a financial reset tomorrow. But we cannot wait on anything or anyone to save us.
Exactly.
That is program number one that was instilled in here. That is the lure for the wounded ego, for the ego that says, I am a victim, please save me. Okay, somebody come do my job for me. The universe works in one way and one way only. You cannot have done what you can do for yourself. So what I'm trying to say is it makes me cringe a little bit because it creates a distraction. And what I'm trying to say is we cannot de-emphasize. In fact, we need to continue to re-emphasize personal sovereignty, because every time any one of us declares and expands in our sovereignty, we're actually creating a direct effect on the expansion of the collective consciousness and the collective experience. So make sure all of us stay vigilant in our own soul's expansion and our own contribution to the collective consciousness, because I know each and every one of us wants the best for everyone, and that's the truth. We're all here. We're all here to see the best world that we can see, but we've all got to take the responsibility and not give away the power of somebody else creating our future or creating our experience. We're the ones creating it. So yes, these are great signs and great synchronicities. If they're true, and if they're not, we should still continue to expand no matter what happens.
Totally agree with that, Todd, and thank you. I totally concur. And what I wish to say with that, you know, for the viewers that resonate fully with that aspect, you don't need to be a part of that politics. There are other groups that are a part of that, taking it down and changing it as well. What you may wish to perspect that there are many groups here with different divine tasks at doing that. All of us are co-creators, and yes, you need to keep powering yourself. You need the ones to go forward to keep creating the new, and you also have the other ones, other groups that are destructing the old system. And
Sure.
anything with these politics things, yes, do not let that restrict you. If it does not resonate, don't get involved in it. Keep your focus on creating the new things that we want. Because actually, although there may appear to be groups and segregation and separation, in reality, no, these are certain divine tasks that everyone is doing that converges later on. We are all doing this work together. And there is, in the biggest perspective of it, there is actually no separation. Sometimes ones get separated off because they need to. There's things they need to look at that they cannot be influenced by the others as well. And it's all divinely assured when that occurs. And everyone is to retain their focus, their divine message, what they receive. They're to follow that in their heart. And I absolutely concur with you, Todd. And I'm laughing because I'm laughing at myself because I'm all over the place because I'm into so many things. So that's why I change frequently. But no, I totally support. I totally support you and everyone that's doing that, because that is your important contribution to the whole. And that's what we have, so many pieces contributing to make the whole and creating the new reality.
Yeah. Right on. Yeah, and you know, it's go easy on yourself and go easy on each other. We all showed up. We're all valiant souls. Every one of us is a universal soldier. This is an extraordinary place. Just like Rick said, there's so many different, and this is probably not the right word, so many different agendas, but we're talking about the fusion of the 3D, 4D, 5D, 6D, 7D. We've got all different types of interdimensional and dimensional species involved. We have all of their seeds, and not only are we aligning and reforming this DNA and bringing it back to the original DNA, but we're actually bringing in new DNA. We're bringing in bringing in DNA that's been expanded through all of the lineage and ancestral stuff that we carry, to include not only our human lineage, but reptilian and Pleiadian, the wars they had for years, and all the other galactics. Everything is converging here. And we're taking this thing as far as we can take it. And there's been many people on these shows that have channeled and brought in messages, and they've said over and over and over, in a nutshell, the universal family cannot believe how fast we have come, how far we have come so quickly. And they're all sitting on their edge of their seat, wondering how far can we take this? And the sooner we embrace what we are, who we are, and what we're a part of, we're not just human beings, and we can let go of all the stories and all the bullshit and all the drama and all the blame and the shame and external expressions and projections, and own our divinity, the sooner we're going to expand this thing at warp speed. We have no idea where we're headed. I don't care what anyone's forecast. The sky is literally not the limit. The furthest galaxy, the furthest galaxy is not the limit. We can blow this thing out further than it's ever been done before, and we might have done it already.
Now, with that, I'd love you. You hit right on cue with what I was going to say, Todd. Exactly. We already did it in another time, and we're playing out these roles now to integrate it into the timelines. We already hit the home run. It's already been won, except we need to play it out and integrate it here into certain histories that will be left behind for the human experience. And having said that, where we're going, I wish to put it in this way, that not all are going. However, it's not in the way that you think, that ultimately all do go. But there's another thing that comes into play here. And one of the things is that when you're equipped, let's say with so much of the divine knowledge, and when you get most of your memory back, as most of you will know now, that in a matrix or a lower dimension, you cannot even, it does not even resonate for you to exist there. And, you know, that's one of your inclinations or hints or clues that you will not remain in the least in an environment like that, because it's not you. And with many of your viewers as well, what will be coming out, I will be putting some more information out in the future in regards to an empath, but the heightened stages of it that we are now entering.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, and you know, and then too, there's another thing that can kind of, I'm going to go see my youngest child today that I haven't seen in quite a long time. She just happened to be here in Los Angeles.
Oh, excellent.
And there's something about just, you know, talking to her and sending texts back and forth, these young people. If you're, I don't know, if you're in the 25, I don't know, 35 to 65 or plus range, and you've been involved in this stuff, even just for the last few months or 18 months or 2 years or 5 years or whatever, because some of these people have been doing it for 15, 20, 25 years. But what I'm trying to say is there was a crew, there is a crew that was breaking energetic doors down. There's no doubt that the evidence is there in all of our lives, that the universe is reciprocating in real time, not delayed linear time. The miracles are happening every day, but these young people are coming to the party now. These young people that don't have the conversations we're having. These young people just carry the coding, they carry the energy, they carry the frequency. When I pick up from my daughter, you know, when we pick up from Morgan's son, these 17-year-olds, these 15 years olds, these 20-year-olds, these 9-year-olds, is, hey, don't take it so serious. You know, it's not a war. We're here to live in peace and bliss and love, and to have the uninhibited ability to gravitate to whatever makes us happy, you know, and chill out. You know what I mean? Chill out.
Well, that's very important. Yes, I totally agree, because, you know, again, the moment that, you know, anyone chills out or what have you, or one of the posts I put out one time with the capital letter F, it. The moment you do that, you liberate yourself and you put yourself in a higher state of being. And that is one of the tricks to the higher vibration as well. And it's also part of the mastery of not letting the lower dimensional acts and reactions control you, where you actually become the master of your own reality by knowing that, and you're given the tools to do it. Yeah, exactly. You don't need to get hyper. These are
we all
ways that
have.
does not.
We all have. I mean,
Yeah.
we all have. I'm saying, I'm saying that to myself more than anything. I wanted to ask you about something.
Yes.
Because the coding available obviously is being expanded all the time. But what I notice on these shows, like having talks with you and other people, is that the coding that becomes available due to the human hybrid souls having a conversation or an experience or an interaction is in fact unfathomable. It's way beyond the channeling and downloads and transmissions that we get, that we all get. And the reason and this is just my opinion, but the reason I believe that's true is because it also has injected into it the experiences we've had. We have a common denominator that we're divinity, but we have another common denominator that we've all been human souls who were unawakened and went through a bunch of grinds and a bunch of BS and a bunch of this and a bunch of that to wake up and say, oh my God, that's boots on the ground. One of the things that's happening is there's about consciousness. They talk about gold ray and rose ray and this and that. One of the things that's happening are these couplings, these unions that are happening. You have been, and to your credit, out there, gutsy, past the point of embarrassment, putting it out there regardless of what people think, no matter what happens. You're very public, and you have a partnership, you have a relationship, however you want to put it. And I don't want to get into your personal life at all. What I wanted to ask you, maybe we can all learn from, is what impact has a partnership or a union like that had on you as an individual? Because a lot of times people will look at someone like Rick Jewers and say, wow, man, he's got it all together and I don't. Like he's got everything figured out and I don't. Has there been an impact having a divine feminine in your life? Has it affected you as an individual, as Rick Jewers?
Yes, there always is a sort of an impact, but what I'll share here, when Sharon and I come together, that Sharon is totally amazing, that she had what I would say all of her inner work done. She was at a higher state of consciousness. I am as well. And when we came together, Todd, it was peace and harmony. And there has not been a conflict of any sort with us, with this. It's complete support. It's what you would call the perfect harmonious relationship. Now, we are very fortunate for both of us to come together in this higher state, as you and Morgan and other ones are. And what occurs is, there's a little adjustment on my part, where I was used to being a lone wolf. So, there's slight adjustments with how you do things. And but they are only slight, and they're overcome, in the moment, because of the great respect that we both have. And you work your way through that harmoniously. There's none of this, what some say about the twin beat your partner over the head to get, all of that is in flames to get you to such levels. But once you reach these higher levels, no, there's not much of an impact. And in actuality, it blossoms, as you know, and then you activate the higher experiences. And having said that, with Sharon and I, we have sacrificed our time here to this mission selflessly. And so what we have been doing, Todd, as a result, is our focus is upon assisting others, that our relationship is there, but we are not actually going into the depths of it. Let me do say that there are certain amazing things that are occurring that we began to experience it because we need this information to share with the others here at later dates. The same as you and Morgan, we are the way showers with these experiences so that we learn about the dynamics of it, so we purvey it back to the others that are coming to these levels in their relationships. And so we are writing, if you will, the new timelines on these divine unions and other things as well. But it's all a purveyance of knowledge and what is experienced. And again, for the receiver, it's up to them if it resonates or not. But for I and for everyone that is in a divine union, I recommend to share these experiences outward, because these are the realities the others will be stepping into very shortly. And we are the teachers. We are out there to have the experience, but to give the feedback back to them with the knowledge of what is actually occurring. And with everything with this ascension and the way that it has been for the most part for the divine work that I do, many are given the experience. They're given the cart before the horse. And then I am the liaison that comes in and explains what is going on to assist them. And one of the reasons why it works that way, Todd, is because of the way the human brain is set up, that it needs something concrete, like actually seeing it or experiencing it themselves. It's not enough with this ascension and the magic to just read about it in a book. As you know, you need to experience or see it. And that's why many are given the experience before the knowledge of what it is.
Yeah, yeah. So let's go back to a couple of things before we close out. One is where you started the show with, and let's just kind of like dovetail what we're talking about right now into what you're doing and other people are doing. So first part of the question is, what's the impact, be it you and your beloved, or you and your other traveling partner, or anyone else that comes into your physical proximity when you have these functions? What is the impact in your five senses, in your higher senses, when you get around 5, 6, 7, 8 different people who are in alignment or in the same trajectory of alignment? What type of episodes and miracles do you have? I know you talked about the lightning and a couple other things. And then the second part would be for people that might be inclined to do what you're doing, and that would include me. What are you doing? Are you headed to a certain place and you're letting everybody know, hey, I'm coming to Ontario. Who wants to get together? How are you putting that together? Because we all know that you can't plan anything anymore. It's a very spontaneous thing, but how are you handling that? And what happens when you have these gatherings?
Okay, I'll start with your last question there. With that, what I always do is we work by divine flow. But having said that, we're not to plan too far into the future. And with this ascension caravan, we did put out a tentative route ahead of time to bring it into creation, the certain gatherings we were having. So what I suggest for anyone embarking upon this mission, that you have the full surrender for your higher divine mission, and you have no fear, and you go in the now and in the moment with it, knowing that you will be guided directly where you are needed. For example, on our tentative route, we put a tentative straight route right across Canada. But that is not the way the divine plan has ones in geographical locations. So you need to surrender and you need to be flexible to the divine plan and go where the call comes from. For example, you might need to detour off a tentative route a couple hundred miles. But if
Yeah.
you got to do that, you need to do that because there's someone very important in that certain geographical location. And when you fully surrender to divinity, you will get your cues and your calls from these ones, and you don't question it. You get a call from someone that you may need to go 150 miles off of what you thought was the route you would take, you go with it because divinity sets out the route. So
Yeah.
you go with the flow. What I say at this time, we are opening what I would call the eastern gates. And I knew this was coming several years ago because I had to go and open up the western gates in the work that I do. And most of that was done in BC where it had to be opened up.
Mhm.
So having said this, at this time, I am taking, let's say for my divine task, I am taking on Canada, the northern part of North America. And having said that, what we needed, which I was so happy to see, Todd, you and Morgan, that you had, unbeknownst to what I just said, you two had stepped up to embark upon that important mission as well, of going across country and opening up these eastern gates. Now, you don't need to know what to do because the way divinity works is you're guided in the moment.
Yeah.
When you accept that you do everything perfect, you're doing a divine mission, you don't have to plan so much. You just need to be in the areas. So you just set out a tentative route, let's say across the US, and you let divinity dictate and guide where you need to be. And that's what you follow the prompts with it.
Yeah.
And also with this, we have, let's say, all of the awakened ones. This is all, it's already been ordained and orchestrated to the degree that we also have, um, let's say, divine ones in great places of financial security that can assist with this, and they do come in at the times. That is part of their complement to the overall ascension, and it's part of their energy also that fuels this thing. And Todd, having said that, one of the biggest things that I had to do here was to ask for support from the others. And it was hard for I, Todd, because I always did everything on my own. And I did not want to be a burden for others. That's the way I looked at it. But part of my experience as a human, I also had to learn the importance of accepting that energetic exchange because it's the contribution to the all. And I was just reminded the other day again that I'm now a team. I'm not a lone wolf anymore. So that was part of my human experience, if you wish, that I had to overcome to be more fully prepared for this divine service. So, having said that with anyone, you've got to just rise above the humility and just have full trust and go with it. And you will have what you need to do the divine mission that you're here to do. And we support each other with that. And your support is out there. As you know it, Todd, you've seen it. I saw it the other day. We were getting low on funds. We're very conservative. But hey, I was getting low, and we put the call out about a week ago. And Todd, within hours, I got on. We had the money that we needed to keep going.
Yeah.
And this is not about money with us, as it is. It's not about money with you.
Hey, anybody, that's right. Anybody that thinks it's about money, get rid of everything you have. I mean, if it's two people, we got 4 suitcases, 2 backpacks, 2 briefcases, probably a handbag and and another bag. Try that. Try just getting on a plane, going into a town, having $200 or $300, and it just keeps going. The universe This universal energy is not a linear energy. It is not a 3D energy. It's not going to say, hey, here's the $100,000, go do this mission. It's not going to do that. It's going
Exactly.
to give you what you need in the moment. It's going to teach you further patience and humility. It's going to ask you to have a higher faith, the transitive verb to trust and believe. And you're right, Rick. And then the other thing that happens is when you start to open up, when you have the ability to receive, you do. See, Bernie Kawara, just here's our synchronicity, just put up a comment. She said,
I read in that. Yeah, beautiful.
She said, your energy exchange, and she's talking about me, but we're talking about everybody. Your energy exchange is through your live exchange with people. So my point is what she's bringing up, beautiful sister, okay? What she's bringing up is you start to realize that when you allow yourself to receive, it is actually an expansion of your sovereignty, your self-value, and your recognition of your own contribution to the universe. You're not looking at it as, oh, I'm going to go punch a clock over here and work for ABC company, and ABC company is going to pay me, you know, whatever you agree to. You're actually putting your heart out there, putting your best out there, putting your best effort out there, knowing that the perfection is in the imperfection, and just putting it out there and moving on, and having the faith that the universe is going to reciprocate and give back to you. And in this time, in these last few weeks and months, it's happening immediately. This is instant creative manifestation in action, and it is an infinity sign. It is an infinity sign. We're not alone anymore. So the things that you bring up today about supporting each other and the collaborations and the co-creations in these physical gatherings, I believe is going to become a louder and louder and more something that's going to gain a lot of awareness to it, and you're going to see more and more of it happening each and every day. So I would encourage everybody to take a step out into the community in any way they can and try to bring a physical gathering together, because nothing but good's going to come from that if you're coming from the same intention we've all been coming from as we have aligned on the internet. Now let's take it down to the boots on the ground grid. I'll give you the last word. My battery's running out. Go ahead.
Well, no, you said so much with it, and you know, again, I can attest to what you just said about the energetic exchange and how I had to integrate that for this time, and how, yes, it activated more of the power going forward, what we need, you know, the divine good power for the good of all, and it was and is important with it. However, again, these are only temporary measures because there is so much happening behind the scenes. However, again, as you suggested, Todd, for no one to not hesitate, we keep going forward no matter what, and you know, we see where that takes us, and that's what we're doing with these gatherings. And for anyone having them, it's best not to write up a script for them, not to write up an agenda or a program. With these gatherings, you just go and you just be there, and it divinely occurs what needs to be there and what needs to happen. And, you know, ones that we meet with, there will be, let's say, a certain testimony and a witness that will come in after because of linear time. For some, it will take a little bit longer for them to perhaps receive a higher benefits, but for some others, you know, it's immediately, things began happening immediately. Again, you know, a lot of this is dependent upon one's own inner work that they have done, but you know, it's all inclusive. Do your healing. Everyone can do healing. What we have with the team, it's I and Sharon and Helen of the Light, and you know, they are two powerful healers, mediums, many gifts coming online. The telepathy within the group here is amazing, because, you know, we're in unison and everything is heightened as well. But it's also these gifts that we have that are transferred to others in the energetic exchange that occurs with us. So it is, again, as we mentioned at the first of the show, it is important, the physical close proximity interaction with the ones that carry the highest codes. It is important to assist the others. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. We'll have to get the three of you on and do a show. So
Or the four of us.
yeah. Oh yeah. Well, yeah, that's right. You mean the five of us? Because Morgan's very camera shy. She doesn't like getting on the camera.
Oh, yeah, that's what I meant.
I know that's,
okay,
I know that's
yes,
what you meant.
yeah.
We just want to say too, no, it's always a pleasure having you here.
I'm attempting.
What? Are you attempting? What did you say?
What I said. Am I here now?
Yeah, you're here.
Yeah. What I said, yes, in the near futures, Helen and Sharon also will be doing a live to some degree with as we give more information to the others.
Perfect. That's perfect. Absolutely perfect. So
if I may, Todd.
Yes.
Our last half hour's been pretty well uninterrupted. It was pretty good speaking.
Yes.
So having said that, I had tried my own power to get a better connection, and it did not occur. So I asked for assistance from the higher realms, and let me say, this is a testimony of that, how it works. When you need assistance, yes, ask for from the higher realms, and it will come in, and you will get your own confirmations on that as well. This is not a joke. This is serious, and it's real.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, man. Well, you have safe travels, and keep following your guidance. I know you guys will. Just want to tell everybody that it's a pleasure to be part of this. It's a pleasure to be walking the soul highway with each and every one of you. There is no exclusivity here. We're all part of this, and oneness is oneness. And we just want to keep driving this thing and expanding it, collaborating, co-creating with people like Rick, and anyone that has any ideas or would like to do a show, hit us up, because I think we're going to start loading things up pretty soon in the next week or so. Rick, thanks a lot.
Yeah, can you see?
Yeah.
Can you see there's a right behind me. See the eagle flying?
I can't see it, but I know it's, oh, I see it. Yeah. I actually saw it just for a second there.
Yep.
There you go, man.
So this is quite, so I just wanted to share that with you. There's been several around here the whole time during the interview. We had 3 at one point, which is the Trinity again. So a very important symbol.
That's right. All right, man. You take care. I'll talk to you later. Best to your traveling partners. See everybody later. Peace out till tomorrow. Take it easy, Rick.
Much love to you, and much thanks and gratitude to you and all your viewers, and we keep pushing forward. Love you all, and have a beautiful evening.